use it, use a web RTC to enhance their services toward the customers.
That's right. Yes, yeah.
Thank you for that. We're here 24/7. We can draw on your screen and even show you how to use different features.
So I can just press the Mayday button and you're here to help?
Hit Mayday and I'm coming to the rescue.
Amy? I like you.
Aw.
Introducing the revolutionary Mayday button, only on the new Kindle Fire HDX.
Yes.
Thanks for pressing Mayday. How can I help?
Hey, my niece is coming over this weekend and I know she's going to want to use my new Kindle Fire.
No problem. The Fire's great for kids.
But I don't want her to be glued to it the whole time.
Gotcha. Just use Kindle Free Time. It lets you set limits on how long kids can watch and play.
So it'll tell her when time's up, I don't have to?
Yep.
Cool. Because who can say no to this fix?
Aww.
Introducing the revolutionary Mayday button, only on the new Kindle Fire HDX.
Thanks for pressing Mayday. How can I help?
Hey, I've got friends over and I want to show them pictures from my new Kindle Fire.
Got it. You want to mirror them to your TV? Tap the icon and beam pictures up to your big screen and show everyone.
Sweet.
It also works for movies and games.
Yep, it also works with you. Everybody, go to the Amazon lady.
I can't see you, but hi!
Introducing the revolutionary Mayday button, only on the new Kindle Fire HDX.
Okay, I hope everyone has enjoyed the videos. I'm sorry because the sound was not working. And here basically that is one of our customers and have utilizing this technology to enhance their customers' services. So there is one more important solution I would like to share to you. We are talking about multi-vendors UC, large enterprise network, large contact centers, and we always have problems in terms of resolving intermittent problem happen with in the voice networks. And the solutions that we have here, network visibility, basically is network monitoring system which is capable to provide real-time monitoring and also tracing call in real time within the network. So this is important tools for IT managers when they need to do troubleshooting, tracing problems, and the solutions basically based on proofs. This is supported in any multi-vendors network equipment environment as long as it's a SIP network. So we could have the software proof which is running on any commercial off-the-shelf servers, and you put it in important segments in your networks, and our system is able to consolidate all the signaling message and give you a real-time view. So basically, it's important for troubleshooting, drill down for the root cause analysis. And it gives you very intuitive GUI interface, real-time view. All the statistics is updated in real time. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. All right, so let's give Oracle, another warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, all right. Okay, at this point, we would like to make some special announcements regarding some updates on some of our CCAP programs. And to do that, I would like to call on the CCAP Director for External Affairs, Mr. Raymond Lacdao. Please welcome Raymond.
Thanks, Jay. So I'll just give you an update really of the events of the Contact Center Association. Okay, actually I'll skip the foundation because we're supposed to launch this next month, so I don't want to preempt John Arayata's presentation on the foundation. But just to let you know, we have a foundation that we have set up. So I'll just skip through that. Anyway, right. So what we will have is the next event after this general membership meeting will be the CEO Forum that will happen in June 15 and 16 in Baguio. So right now we have a total of, hopefully we'll have a bigger turnout. We have right now only 25 CEOs confirmed to attend the event. We'd like to invite all the CEOs of the Contact Center Association of the Philippines to attend the CEO Forum. It's going to be a dialogue among the CEOs of all the contact center, and they'll be discussing issues and trends in the industry, and that's going to help us, the association and industry, put together the roadmap that we are planning next year. So it's very important that the CEO attends that event. And of course, after the CEO Forum on June 16, we'll also have the CEO Golf Tournament. So those that are golf aficionados, please let us know. We will include your name in the tournament. It's also going to be held in Baguio on June 16. So yeah, if you're not the CEO, but you are an executive of your company, please let us know so that we will include your name, green fee, caddy fee, and the golf cart is free. So you just have to go find your way to Baguio. And also the association will help you make that happen. The other events, of course, we have our regular general membership meeting. It will happen all throughout the year, every month on the dot. And the other employee events that we have that you should be looking out for would be the fun run, the Halloween fun run. And we expect to have your employees as well as yourselves join the fun run itself. Of course, it's a Halloween fun run, so I guess it will happen in October. So we want your participation, and we'll make it worth your while. All the proceeds of all these events that we will be doing, we will fund. Will help us fund the initial requirement that we have for the Contact Center Foundation. So yeah, so I hope to get your participation in those events that we will have in the next few months. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Raymond. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our distinct pleasure to introduce to you our next speaker. He is a recognized expert in geochemistry, marine geology, volcano and earthquake geology, geologic hazard assessment and awareness, and earth science education. He holds a master's degree in geological science from the University of Illinois. He completed his PhD in earth science at the Scripps Institute of Oceanography, University of California in San Diego. And in 2010, he received the Presidential Lingkod Bayan for raising the bar of disaster risk reduction and initiating a nationwide mapping program that generated a new information on tsunami-prone areas useful for local governments in risk-sensitive development planning and disaster preparedness. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Executive Director of the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, Dr. Renato U. Solidum.
I was asked to talk about the valley fault system, but I'd like to expand my talk by really showing what the fault would mean in terms of our preparation for a strong earthquake in Metro Manila. The Philippines is blessed with many hazards, right? Typhoons, floods, landslides, and also earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and even tsunamis. The reason why I say it's a blessing because if not for all of these events, like typhoons, we will have not enough water in Angat, like what we're experiencing now. And if not for earthquakes, we will not have so many islands in the Philippines, because many of the islands rose from the ocean floor. However, if earthquakes do happen, then you will say it's not a blessing. Next slide, please. The Philippines is really prone to earthquakes, and in the past 400 years, 90 destructive earthquakes have occurred. And essentially, every day we record at least 20. Most of these, however, are not felt and are not destructive. So it's fun if the earthquakes are small, not fun if the earthquakes are devastating, like during the 1990 Luzon earthquake, where that picture would show you the Hyatt Terrace Hotel. If buildings do not collapse, but things inside would fall down or topple down, processes in your businesses might be affected. It might even get people killed or injured. Next slide. The 2013 Bohol earthquake occurred in northern Bohol and essentially shook the whole island of Bohol and Cebu. Bohol province moved 55 centimeters closer to Cebu in less than 1 minute. So if you have a loved one in Tagbilaran or in southern Cebu, you're 55 centimeters literally closer to each other. That power of earthquake can be manifested in terms of strong ground shaking and collapses of buildings. More than 200 people died in Bohol and Cebu. Not too much compared to many other earthquakes in the world, like in Haiti in 2010 with magnitude 7 earthquake, where it killed more than 200,000 people. Question is, next slide. Would a strong earthquake affect Metro Manila and the surrounding provinces? What would be your answer? Yes. Can you push it once more? The answer should not be a small yes, but a big yes. Because it's really a different setting. Think of a hazard and think of the place that when that hazard would occur, the whole of the Philippines will be directly and indirectly affected. It will be a big earthquake in Metro Manila, since Metro Manila is the seat of power, governance, and economy. In terms of national governance, we have put all our agencies in Metro Manila. Therefore, we need to make sure that our governance and economic systems are resistant to an impact or stress from a strong earthquake. Next slide. Why do we believe that Metro Manila can be affected by a strong earthquake? For those of you who are already a little bit senior than many, in 1968, a building called Ruby Tower collapsed, where 268 people died, but the fault that moved was in Casiguran, Aurora, 230 kilometers northeast of Metro Manila. That would mean that we don't need a fault to be beneath a building for it to be destroyed. We just need a strong shaking and a weak building and unprepared people. Next slide. There are more earthquakes that happened prior to that. If you want to believe that earthquakes are really common in Metro Manila, you try to become more religious by visiting historical churches. You don't need to go inside, but just read the signage in front of it. For example, the Manila Cathedral was built in 1581, but the signage would indicate that this church, or original buildings of this church, were destroyed in 1600, 1645, and 1863. All of these earthquakes originated outside of Metro Manila. Next slide. But if you look at the regional fault maps of Luzon, you would see that there are many active faults inland in Luzon Island, also an offshore fault called Manila Trench, which can generate earthquakes. We studied 18 earthquake scenarios for Metro Manila way back in 2004, and we found out that we need to prepare for 2 scenarios. If we prepared for these 2 scenarios, then we have prepared for the others. One is the movement of the Manila Trench, which can generate a tsunami. The magnitude is stronger, but since it's further from Manila, the shaking will be much less than the shaking that will be caused by the movement of the valley fault system. Next slide. What is the valley fault system? The valley fault system consists of 2 fault traces, the West and the East Valley faults. The West Valley fault is longer, 100 kilometers long, and based on the length of the fault, if the whole fault will rupture, it can generate an energy equivalent to magnitude 7.2. This fault moves every 400 to 600 years. And in the last 1,400 years, this has moved 4 times, generating close to magnitude 7 or more or less 7 earthquake. If the lower limit of 400 years is used, then the next question that we need to find out or to ask is when the last movement of this fault happened. And we think that there is a 1658 earthquake that originated from the Valley Fault system. And if this is related to the West Valley Fault, then that would be 357 years ago, very close to the 400-year limit. Faults may move earlier than usual, or it can move earlier. If it will move earlier, then we better be prepared. The Nepal earthquake on April 25 this year was caused by a fault segment northwest of Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal, which has not moved for more than 700 years. It last moved in 1344, and prior to the earthquake, several weeks before that, scientists or geoscientists already noted that this fault can also move. Nepal has been preparing for this earthquake, but for only a very short period of time. Then the earthquake happened. They did not have much time to prepare. In our case, I have been shouting about this scenario since 2004, and so we were given almost 11 years to prepare. And maybe we were given more years to prepare. But we're not sure when this fault would move. So the thing that we need to do is better be prepared, if in case this fault will move in our generation. Next slide. If the fault will move with a magnitude of 7.2 earthquake, what will be the hazard present in Metro Manila and surrounding provinces and the impacts to Metro Manila? These will be the hazards and risk scenarios. Let me share with you why we are doing this. Think of the fact that despite of our various disaster experiences, not only in the Philippines but in other parts of the world, despite advances in science and engineering, we could have thought that we can lessen the number of people that will die or get injured. But despite that, still so many people die. So many people are not prepared. Why is that so? I think the reason why we don't prepare is that at the individual to the highest level, we don't have the proper disaster imagination. We cannot think of how strong an event would be, how wide the area can be, and the different sectors of society that can be impacted by a particular event, like a strong typhoon, storm surge, earthquake, or tsunami. We don't have the proper disaster imagination that can be used so that all of us, from the individual, family, organization, company, local government to national government level, can use so that we can, at our own levels, do appropriate measures. If we don't use a scenario, we think we're doing preparedness, but we might find out later that preparedness is not appropriate. Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge, meaning knowledge is useless if we don't use this for something that we can invent or to solve pressing problems like disasters. Let me give an example when Albert Einstein used a very simple situation when he used disaster imagination and the solution already prepared before that situation happened. Albert Einstein is invited to too many talks during his time, and one day he got so tired of delivering lectures. So he asked his driver one afternoon to deliver the lecture for him. And the driver said, "Yes, sir, I can deliver the lecture for you because I've memorized all what you said. But how about if they ask me a question?" That will be a problem, right? But Albert Einstein already imagined that kind of situation and prepared the appropriate solution to the problem. So indeed, the driver delivered the lecture for him. He was known to be the Albert Einstein, and he was given a standing ovation after the lecture. But then the dreaded first question came. It was so difficult because it's physics question. But the driver was so confident that he can defuse the problem. He said, "Sir, your question is so easy that even my driver can answer it," pointing to the sitting Albert Einstein. That is what we need to do. Imagine the possible problem of a strong earthquake. That's why we give out facts of how strong the earthquake can be, how many buildings will be affected, how many people will die, what will happen to Metro Manila, so that we can all prepare for this. At the individual level, you should also know this. Next slide. There are many hazards associated with earthquakes. I'll run down this. If it's an inland earthquake, the first hazard is the surface faulting or ground rupture. All of you would want to know where the active fault is, right? You don't want? You want. I know, because you're all fault finders. Because you want to know where the fault is so you don't build on top of it, so that you protect your house that may sit on top of it to be displaced by the ground. But the major hazard is not the faulting, but the ground shaking that can affect faraway areas from the fault, even 200 kilometers away. All of us will feel the strong shaking if it's magnitude 7.2 from the valley fault system. So strong ground shaking is the major hazard that can cause collapses of buildings. Strong ground shaking causes soft grounds to liquefy, behaving like a quicksand. Strong ground shaking is better than a well-financed political campaign. They always ensure a landslide. Strong ground shaking causes fire. But if it's an offshore fault, a fault movement can generate a tsunami, but minus the ground rupture. Okay? So I will talk about the valley fault, which is an inland scenario. Next slide. What are faults? Faults are simply fractures on the ground where movements of rocks can take place, and the faults can move sideways, vertically, up and down, where one block would move down or one block would move up relative to the other, sasampan. Some faults are blind, we cannot see it, but the valley fault system we see. Now, there are so many faults in the Philippines. I mean, physically, hindi socially. But we have to separate active faults versus inactive faults. Just like volcanoes. We have active volcanoes, inactive volcanoes. We worry about the active volcanoes. So for earthquake generation, we only focus on active faults. There are so many fault finders in the government. Ombudsman, NBI, Philippine National Police, Commission on Audit, but the only certified fault finder would be those from PHIVOLCS. Okay? So, even if you see maps portraying the active faults, the Valley Fault Atlas, those were lifted from our fault map, but you have to be aware of faults overlaid on Google Maps. These are not exact. The faults are offset. For example, if I can show you, but I won't, those in Google will show offsets where houses supposedly to be on top of the fault has moved to another house. Ang tawag ko sa fault na yan, makabilang bahay. So beware of those faults shown on Google. Refer back to the original Valley Fault Atlas. Next slide. Next slide. Next push. Okay, this is a horizontally moving fault that moved in 1990 to generate the strong shaking that affected Baguio. And this one displaced the rice paddy dikes or pilapils by 6 meters. We don't expect the Valley Fault to displace features like that, smaller, because it's only 7.2, but that can happen. So imagine if you're there. Now, I haven't seen the San Andreas movie yet, but in the Superman movie, San Andreas Fault split apart and tried to gobble everything in the middle. The fault will not do that. It does not eat a person alive or a house alive. Okay, it will just move like this, and even if it opens up a little bit, it does not really penetrate down vertically. Next slide. So the Valley Fault system traverses many places. The West Valley Fault would start from Doña Remedios Trinidad through Norsagaray and San Jose del Monte. And in Metro Manila, before Metro Manila, you have Rodriguez Rizal, Quezon City, Marikina, Pasig, Makati, Taguig, Muntinlupa, through some parts of San Pedro, Binyan, Santa Rosa, Cabuyao, and Calamba, the end point. But before Calamba, some towns of Cavite protrudes towards Laguna. So you have Carmona, General Mariano Alvarez, and Silang. The fault is not so wide. It's just very small, less than 1 foot in some cases. So if I happen to mention your city, don't worry, you're not affected by ground rupture yet, unless you prove that your house is on top of it. Your hazard will be ground shaking. Next slide. So the atlas is available for download. You can check it out. Pardon if the download is slow.